Alright, so we're going to be talking about interesting and dangerous monsters from CR 6 to 10. Alright, for the list, we always have a couple honorable mentions because you just have to, because there's so many monsters and some of them are just hard to fit into the list.
Right.
So, first honorable mention, we have the Invisible Stalker. It's super annoying. It's invisible all the time if its name doesn't give that away.
Right.
It can fly, so it can, sneak on you and attack, and then fly in the air, and you're just flailing trying to hit it, but you don't know where it is, and it just follows you around, and it's like the most efficient assassin.
Basically. Our second honorable mention is the Cloaker. Yes, the AC is not that high, but it flies, and it has a couple of really annoying abilities, such as being able to frighten the whole party within 60 feet, which is a pretty good big range. It can attach to you, and when it's attached to you, it has damage transfer, which is a very unique ability. If it takes damage, it then transfers part of the damage it takes to the person it's attached to. Unique ability, and annoying as all get out to deal with.
Number 10, we have the Galeb Duhr,
Yes.
which is the Rock Man. He has a very interesting ability that lets him animate boulders.
Yeah.
So he can turn up to 2 boulders around him into basically dumbed down copies of himself. It's the same as him, except their intelligence and charisma is 1, score of 1. But other than that, it's basically turning its 1 attacks into 3 versions. And I believe it's around with a concentration save.
Yeah.
So as long as you keep hitting him, he'll probably drop the other boulders, but if he kind of stays back and messes with you a little bit with the other 2, you turn 1 enemy into 3, which makes things a little bit more interesting.
Correct. Number 9 on our list is the Oni, and as we were having a conversation about it, I think Jameson really labeled it well. It's basically D&D's version of the Boogeyman. It's really good comparison. He has some innate spellcasting abilities, and he can shape change, and he has really high deception skills. He can make himself a normal person during the day, and his whole goal is he wants to kidnap people at night, and children especially, and take off with them. That's really his shtick. Kind of, he's really like a stalker assassin in the night that kidnaps things in the night. So he can be dealt with, but his ability to stay hidden, not just by being stealthy, but magically changing his shape and getting to you in other ways, makes him very challenging to get a hold of. Oni also has regeneration. He gains 10 health every turn as long as he's not unconscious. He can also cast darkness and invisibility on himself at will. So if he's able to break away from you in your initial sight by moving wherever, he can just go invisible and get out of there. So if he's losing in his combat, he has ways to get out. He doesn't want to just die. He wants to get out of there and live to fight another day.
For number 8, we have the Chain Devil. Now this guy's kind of interesting because he has chains, but he has an ability called Animate Chains. He has the ability to animate up to 4 chains around him.
Yeah, that's it.
And with those chains, he can make additional attacks. So he normally has a multi-attack of 2, but he can animate up to 4 chains, which he can make an additional attack with each of them. So you're attacking 6 times a turn with these things. Now you can kill these chains, but they have an AC of 20, so they're kind of hard to hit, and makes things a little bit more difficult. The Chain Devil also has a reaction ability, the Unnerving Mask, which can frighten creatures that can see it within 30 feet.
Number 7 on our list is a range of creature types. We took the one out of the middle. It would be the Slaadi, the creepy-looking frog people of evil.
Devil frogs.
Yeah, basically devil frogs. We took the blue one because it's kind of in the middle of there. But all of the Slaads have interesting abilities throughout. The blue one's got one that's really heinous, in our opinion. The Slaads resist acid, cold, lightning, fire, thunder damage. All of them. Yeah, it's a lot. But the big thing for them, they regenerate health 10 a turn if they're not unconscious. And they have this silly ability where you take additional damage. If you're hit by its claw, you fail the saving throw, you take additional damage and your health is reduced. Your maximum health is reduced X amount per day. So, and if you're not cured of this phage curse, they just flat out kill you. Because once your maximum health is reduced to 0, you're just dead, and you just don't die. It gets worse. You then become a green, either a red Slaad or a green Slaad, depending on whether you're a caster or not a caster. And the only thing that can bring you back once you transform is a freaking wish spell. So, yay! Of course, one of the cool things for the DM side of it is, I guess they kind of leave it open to interpretation. You can make a quest line out of it. So DM throws a Slaad at you, you attack it, you almost kill it, it tries to flee, but one of your parties is now infected. So then you go, okay, we got to find a cure from this thing in less than we'll say less than a week. My character's got 60 health ish, so I was like, okay, I'm thinking okay, that's less than a week on that simple math. So you gotta get out of there and find a cure, otherwise you're gonna lose a party member. It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be real bad.
For number 6, we have a somewhat classic monster, Medusa.
Yes.
Now, with Medusa, if you look at her, or within range of her eyesight, I believe it's within 30 feet.
It is.
You make a saving throw, and if you fail that saving throw by more than 5, you instantly are petrified. Normally with petrification abilities, you have multiple saves. You have one save, and if you fail the first time, you're restrained, which in this one you are. But if you fail a second time while you're restrained, then you turn to stone. But with her, if you fail by more than 5, you're just automatically stone, and you're just screwed, basically.
So I mean, technically, she can one-shot the entire party if everybody fails the saving throw.
The only thing about the Medusa that keeps her off the top 5 is going to be the fact that she has the weakness to seeing her own gaze.
She ugly.
You don't want to see that.
Alright, we cracked the top half of the list with the Deva, an angelic-based creature. But, you know, it's got a high AC of 17. It's got a lot of health, over 130. The big thing is, for this guy, is hits like a dadgum truck. You know, base damage is not that high, but every attack that it lands is an additional 4d8 radiant damage. So if he hits twice, average damage is 50 a turn. That's a lot to be taken in a hurry, and it's, you know, just swing per turn. It could cap at close to 100 nearly per turn if, you know, you get everything cap rolled. It can cast Raise Dead once a day. It's got Detect Good and Evil at will, because some other abilities here or there, but the big thing, like I said, is it hits like an absolute truck, and it can wear you out in a hurry if you're not ready for it.
And the fun thing is when he kills your friend and then animates them to fight against you. That's always entertaining.
Yeah, bad.
All right, for number 4, we have a classic D&D monster, but it is terrifying, and that is the Mind Flayer.
Yep, it's bad.
They are weaker than a lot of creatures at their same CR, having only 15 AC and around 70 health on average. But they have a 60-foot cone with an intelligence saving throw that if you fail, you are paralyzed. And then when you're paralyzed, if you're hit, it's an automatic critical. And they have another ability that grapples, and then once they have you grappled, they attempt to suck your brain out, which has an average damage of 55.
And it's 10d10.
If you're paralyzed, that's an average damage of 110. And if you die to this ability, it sucks your brain out. So these things can be absolutely terrifying. If you start the encounter and everyone fails the initial save, you could be in a very, very, very bad place.
The only reason why this thing is not higher on the list is because of the low AC and the low health. Because if everybody succeeds that saving throw, you can beat one of these things down in a hurry. It's the only reason why it's not probably top 1 or 2 or 3. We have hit the podium, as we like to say. Number 3 on the list, the Abominable Yeti. I like to feel like it's myself embodied in a creature. I like the cold. These guys are immune to the cold, but that's not the point. They have a lot of health, not a high AC, but the thing that's terrifying is they have 2 abilities with 2 very high DC saves. Both of them 18 Constitution saves, and that's brutal for a lot of classes. Especially if you're not a barbarian, a paladin, or a fighter, that's a nightmare save to try to complete. They have 2 abilities. One can recharge, a cold breath, and then it's got the Yeti Gaze, which can do more cold damage and freeze you. Basically, it paralyzes you, but for thematic purposes, it freezes you for a minute. So yeah, and you're talking about 2 big AoE abilities with very high DC saving throws that can do a lot of damage and hurt your party in a hurry.
All right.
Woohoo!
At number 2, we have the Aboleth.
Yes.
Now, this creature is one of the first creatures that you can encounter that actually has legendary actions. Having legendary actions helps equalize the action economy between the players and the monsters. So it gets an extra attack between turns. With this creature, if you hit it when it's underwater, you have a chance to be inflicted with the disease, which basically makes it so you can't breathe air anymore. You can only breathe underwater. So let's say you do manage to kill this thing. Like, all right, let's get back to what we're doing, because it's a water creature, so you're going to be underwater. You try to leave, You can't breathe, and it's for 1d4 hours. So, guess you have, hopefully you have nothing urgent to take care of, because you won't be able to breathe unless you stay in the water. It also has multiple attacks with tentacles, which also has another save, which if you're hit by this and fail to save, if you fail to save, you take damage when you're out of water, and you can't regain hit points. So it makes you another reason to stay in the water. Another ability this creature has is Enslave.
We haven't finished with this list yet. It gets worse.
And there's more.
Wait, there's more.
Aboleth can enslave a target up to 3 times a day. If the creature fails the saving throw, they become charmed by the Aboleth. And this charm effect lasts until the Aboleth dies or the creature takes damage. It can try to make the save again. Otherwise, it stays charmed by the creature. Also, if you can manage to drag the person up to a mile away from the Aboleth, then they can make the save again.
Yeah, but if they've been hit, they gotta drag them through the water so they don't take the damage over time.
Yeah, well, they'll suffocate if you take them out of the water,
right.
Or, just take constant damage, can't regain health. The last ability that it has with legendary actions, it can, make a tails attack or tentacle attack, but it can also drain life from its charmed targets. So it can deal damage to the charmed person and then heal itself. So, that's always fun. This is one of the worst possible things you could see in underwater. You're just trying to go for a nice little swim and you're in one of these, it's gonna be a bad day.
Yeah, very bad. Alright folks, we have hit that magical podium spot. #1, gold medal, pure championship glory. CR9 guy, and he hides back in the very back of the monster manual, and he is a turd. The Nycaloth. And you're like, oh, what is this guy? He looks like a giant warrior Goliath pig. He is pure evil. He has an AC of 18, which is the highest of anything on our list. He has just as close to as much health as anything on the list. He can fly. And this guy resists cold, fire, and lightning damage, and of course, bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage from non-magical weapons. Also immune to acid and poison damage. So if you can't hit him, you're going to not do full damage to him to start with. And then we get into the real fun stuff. He can...
So ridiculous.
Good lord. He can cast things like invisibility at will. Can cast detect magic at will. And the silly one can cast mirror image at will. So he's going to put copies of himself up there that are hard to hit and resist damage. So he's going to be a nightmare to deal with. And of course, to top it all off, he has a damage ability that stacks. Yeah. So he can either attack you with his axe, which does a lot of damage, or he can attack you with his claw that, if you fail the save on it, does an extra 2d4. Well, it doesn't sound like much, but every time he hits you with that claw, it becomes an additional 2d4 you take on the start of your next turn. And it doesn't, at the start of your turn, you take 44. And you get hit the next time, you take 64 at the start of your turn. Only way to get rid of it, as far as in combat goes, is somebody takes an action it's a medicine check. Which is not that high of a check, but the point is you just spend into somebody's entire action to close the wound. And your creme de la creme topping for this turd muncher is he can frickin' teleport. So he will cast darkness at will. He has blindside of 120 feet, so he doesn't care if he casts darkness. And can attack once and then just teleport. Yeah, that's right, I said it. He can claw you, take you a little bit of damage, and start that damage to stack around. Then what he does, whoop, I'm gone. Blink, I'm gone. He's over here. Then he's casted darkness. Now he's casted mirror image.
Yeah, good luck hitting that thing.
Yay!
You can't see it. He's got mirror image. He's got a decent AC.
Yeah.
Teleporting all over the place.
Stacking damage, high AC. He is
a nightmare to deal with.
Awful. That's why he's #1 on our list for most interesting / very difficult monsters to deal with from CR 6 to 10.
If you guys like the video, please give it a like, subscribe to our channel, and we'll keep these coming.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
And leave the comments down below if you want to see something else.
Which allows him to turn up to 4 chains around him into...
living chains.
It's gonna be like edit galore. I kept like,